Part 1. How many numbers of American families have a television is 98%. Number 2. Describe the long and the immediate TV violence and give the example. The violence on television made kids to be violent. For example is cartoon. Number 3. Why does the cartoon become the source of violence? Cartoon have an average about 30 to violence acts per hour. Number 4. What is the result of research from the TV violence? Based on the research, cartoons have many violence than the other stuff than the other show. Number 5. Retail. TV has a huge impact on children. Kids today watch a lot of TV. In the US, almost all families have a TV. 98% many families have more than one TV. 52% of children have television in their bedroom so they can watch TV whenever they want. Part 2. The miller is very rich is false because the miller is poor. Number 2. The youngest son gets the milk from the miller is false because the youngest get the cat. Number 3. There are three things from the miller to give to his children. There are the milk, horse, and cat is false because the second one is donkey, not horse. Number 4. The youngest son has eaten the cat and made some mittens out of his fur is true. Number 5. Marquis of Carabas is the name of the cat is false. Number 6. Rachel. Once upon a time there was a poor miller who had three sons. The years went by and the miller died, leaving nothing but his mill, his donkey, and a cat. The eldest son took the mill, the second born son rode off on the donkey, and the youngest son inherited the cat. Oh well, said the youngest son, I will eat this cat and make some mittens out of his fur. Then I will have nothing left in the world and shall die of hunger. The cat was listening to his master complain like this, but he pretended not to have heard anything. Instead, he put on a serious face and said, do not look so sad, master. Just give me a bag and a pair of boots, and I will show you that you did not receive such a poor inheritance in me. The cat's master had often seen him play a great many cunning tricks to catch rats and mice, as when he used to hang by the heels, or hide himself in the ground and pretend to be dead. Thinking this over, he thought that it wasn't impossible that the cat could help him after all. So he gave the cat his bag and spent his last pennies on ordering a fine pair of boots to be made especially for the cat. The cat looked very gallant in his boots and putting his bag around his neck. He held the string of it in his two forepaws and lay by a rabbit warren, which was home to great many rabbits. He put bran and corn into his bag and scratching as if he were dead, wait for some young rabbit still not acquainted with the desert of the world to cough and rummage in his bag for the bran and corn. Not long after he lay down, he had what he wanted. A rash and foolish young rabbit jumped into his bag, and Monsieur Puss immediately drew close the string and cuffed him. Proud of his prey, he went with it to palace and asked to speak with his majesty. He was shown upstairs into the king's apartment and making a low bow, said to him, I have bought you, sir, a rabbit of the warren, which my noble lord, the Marquis of Carabas, has commanded me to present to your majesty from him. Tell the master, said the king, that I thank him and that he does me a great deal of pleasure. Part 3. There was some time ago a gentleman who was very rich. He had fine town and cost and country houses. His dishes and plates were all of gold or silver. His room were hung with damask. His chairs and sofas were covered with all richest silks, and his carriage were all gilt with gold and a grand style. But it happened that his gentleman had a bluebird, which made him so very frightful and ugly that none of the ladies in the parts where he lived would venture to go into his company. Now there was a certain lady of rank who lived very near him and had two daughters, both of them of very great beauty. Bluebird asked her to bestow one of them upon him for a wife, and left it to herself to choose which of the two it should be. But both the young ladies again and again said they would never marry Bluebird. Yet, to be as civil as they could, each of them said the only reason why she would not him was because he was allowed to hinder her sister from the match, which would be such a good one for her. Still, the truth of the matter was, they could neither one of them bear the thought of having a husband with a bluebird, and besides, they had heard of his having been married to several wives before, and nobody could tell what had ever to several wives before, and nobody could tell what had ever become of any of them. As a bluebird wished very much to gain their favor, he asked the lady and her doctor and some ladies who were on a visit at their house to go with him to one of his country seats, where they spent a whole week, during which they passed all their time in nothing but parties, for hunting and fishing, music, dancing, and feasts. No one even thought of going to bed, and where night were passed in merrymaking of all kinds. In short, the time rolled on in so much pleasure that the youngest of the two sisters began to think that the bird which she had been so much afraid of was not so very blue, and that the gentleman who owned it was vastly civil and pleasing. Soon after their return home, she told her mother that she had no longer any dislike to accept of Bluebird for her husband, and in a very short time they were married. About a month after the marriage had taken place, Bluebird told his wife that he should be forced to leave her for a few weeks, as he had some affairs to attend to in the country. He desired her to be sure to indulge herself in every kind of pleasure, to invite as many of her friends as she liked, and to treat them with all sort of dainties, that her time might pass pleasantly till he come back again. Here, said he, are the case of the two large wardrobes. This is the key to the great box that contain the best plate which we used for company. This belongs to my strong box where I keep my money, and this belongs to the casket in which are all my jewels. Here also master key to all the rooms in the house, but this small key belongs to the closet at the end, the long gallery on the ground floor. I give you leave, said he, to open or to do what you like with all the rest except this closet. This, my dear, you must not enter, nor even put the key into the lock. For all the world, if you do not obey me in this one thing, you must accept the most dreadful punishment. She promised to obey his order and the most faithful manners, and Bluebird, after kissing her tenderly, stepped into his coach and drove away. When Bluebird was gone, the friends of his wife did not wait to be asked, so eager were they to see all the riches and fine things he had gained by marriage, for they had none of them gone to the wedding on account of their dislike to the Bluebird in the bridegroom. As soon as ever they come to the house, they ran about the room to room, from closet to closet, and then from wardrobe to wardrobe, looking into each to wonder and delight, and said that every first one they came to was richer and finer than what they had seen the moment before. At last they come to the drawing rooms, where their surprise was made still greater by the costly grandeur, by the hangings, the sofas, the chairs, carpet, tables, sideboards, and looking glasses. The frame of the last were silver gilt, most richly adorned, and in the glass they saw themselves from head to foot. In short, nothing could excel in richness of they saw, and they all did not fail to admire and envy the good fortune of their friend. But all this time the bridge herself was from thinking fine speechless. They met to her, for she was eager to see what was in the closet her husband had told her not to open. So great, indeed, was her desire to do this, that, without once thinking how rude it would be to leave her guest. She slipped away down to a private staircase that led to this forbidden closet in such a hurry that she was 2 or 3 times in danger of falling downstairs and breaking. The poor wife was almost as dead as her husband, was not able at first to rise and embrace her brother, but she soon came to herself, and as Bluebird had no heirs, she found herself the owner of his great riches. She gave a part of his vast fortune as marriage dowry to her sister, and who soon after became the wife of a young gentleman who had long loved her. Some of the money she laid in buying captains' commission for her 2 brothers, and the rest she gave to a worthy gentleman whom she married shortly after, and whose kind treatment soon made her forget Bluebird's cruelty.